Hello apples and cherries and welcome to your maths for this week. This week we'll be focusing on the topic of weight. So the focus for this week is to be able to use everyday language to do with weight and use this in order to compare quantities and objects. This week's home learning will look a little bit different to what we are used to. So I'm just going to talk through the layout of the week. So today is Monday and you have a video explaining what we are doing this week. So this week's focus is weight. At the end of the video there will be a task like there normally is. For the next 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, there is a document explaining 3 different practical activities that you can do on these days. You choose one activity to do a day with whoever you are at home with, and there are an explanation on how to complete these activities and some things that you might want to discuss. Then when you come to Friday, we will have another video where we will recap the knowledge that we've learnt this week, and we will have a quiz to see how much you have learnt about weight. So continuing with this video today, we are going to use everyday language to do with weight. To be successful this week, you will be able to use the words heavy and light correctly. You may then also be able to order objects from the lightest to the heaviest. And some of you may even be able to compare objects of different sizes in terms of their weight. These success criteria and learning objective will be the same for every single day this week as you complete the different activities. So on the screen here, I've got lots of different ways that we will see objects being weighed in our everyday life. Here we have a weighing scales that we normally stand on to find out how much we weigh. We can use this to find out if we are a healthy weight. And that is the weight of our body that we would use that for. Sometimes we use it for suitcases when we go on holiday. This weighing scales here is the type of weighing scales that we use the most in school. You have 2 bowls and they are held on a stick in the middle of the scale. You put your objects in one side and then objects in the other side, and depending on how the bowls move, whether they go down or up, it tells you which objects are the heaviest and which are the lightest. So the heaviest side will always go down and the lightest side will go up. If both sides are the same, then they stay in the middle. This weighing scales here is something that you might find at a supermarket. Most of the time you don't see all of the things at the bottom, but if you were getting your fruit and vegetables and they are not in a bag with the price on, you weigh it on the scales to find out how much you have to pay for your fruit or vegetables. You might see this in a butcher's or in different shops. And then these 2 scales are something that we might use when we are baking. So this one is a digital one. When you put the weight on top or the object on top of there, it tells you digitally on the screen how much that object weighs. This one here, you put your object on the top and then there is a dial that will move around and you have to look where the dial is pointing to tell you how much your object weighs. This is very much like a clock in terms of the scale. And these are all called weighing scales. So in our success criteria, we talked about using the words heavy and light correctly. So let's have a little think. What does the word heavy mean? Heavy objects. Are you able to pick them up very easily? No. Heavy objects is something that is difficult to carry, and in some cases you may not be able to pick them up at all. So an elephant is a very big animal and it's very, very heavy. Think about the 3 little pigs when you see these bricks here. The 3rd little pig used bricks to build his house, and they were so heavy that it meant that his house was strong enough that the wolf couldn't blow it down. So bricks are heavy. On their own, we might be able to carry 1 or maybe 2, but if we start to have more of them, then they become impossible for us to carry on our own. We might need to use a wheelbarrow. This over here is a tractor. It's got some very big wheels on it. It's got an engine inside, and it's got all of this exterior part of the tractor, and this is very, very heavy. Not many people would be able to move this without another vehicle. And then down here we've got a piano. We have a piano at school, and we haven't been able to move it. If we needed to, we would have to use a lot of energy to push it around. It is very, very heavy. And then lastly, we've got this planet here. I wonder if you can remember what this planet is called. Fantastic. This is the Earth. The Earth is where we live, and it is very, very heavy. You wouldn't be able to pick it up in your hands at all. So we've looked at heavy objects, and now we need to look at light objects. Light. What does light mean? Well, we could think about the word light as in the room is light because it's got lots of sun in it. But in this context, we are thinking about weight. And when we use the word light in terms of weight, it means that it's really, really easy for us to pick it up. Or, in some cases, it might be so light that it floats around in the air. So over here we've got some cushions and some pillows. They are very, very light. You can pick them up easily and carry them around. They're also very soft, so that is nice. Here we've got a feather. Birds have lots of feathers on them, and because their feathers are very light, that means it's easy for them to fly. We often use the saying, light as a feather. Over here we have some clouds, and clouds float around in the sky, collecting all the raindrops, and then when they get too heavy, the rain starts to fall. So clouds are very, very light. Then we've got these down here, which are called bubbles, and I know lots of you in reception like bubbles. When we try to catch a bubble, they're so light that they pop. And then here we've got some balloons. Balloons often have air inside them. The air is called helium, and the helium makes it so light that they can float around in the sky. So light is something that you can carry easily, or it might float. So here we've got the weighing scales that we would normally use in school. On this side here it's got the word heavier, and on the side here it's got the word lighter. So let's count how many marbles we've got in this side. 1, 2, 3. So that's the heavier side because it's down further. And how many marbles have we got on this side? 1. So these marbles are the same size, which means they're probably the same weight. If there's 3 marbles on this side, that would mean that it's heavier than 1 marble on this side. However, it doesn't always work like that. So on this side we've got 2 Lego pieces, and on this side we have 2 marbles. If there's 2 objects on one side and 2 objects on the other side, it doesn't mean that they're always going to be the same in weight. The Lego is much lighter than the marble. So this side is lighter and this side is heavier. As I've said before, sometimes we can use our weighing scales to get something to make it balanced. So on this side we've got some sand, on this side we have the same amount of sand. They are equal, so the weighing scales we can use the word balanced. That means they are equal. So today you have a task, and your task is to find 5 different objects around your home. They can be any 5 objects that you want, just make sure they are different. You don't want to have 5 pieces of Lego, you need to have 5 different objects. So for example, you might decide to go for a spoon, a pencil, a teddy, a pillow and an apple. I want you to hold them in your hands and think, which is the heaviest object? Which is the lightest object? Can you order them from lightest to heaviest? And then one question for you to really think about, is it always the biggest object that is the heaviest? You might want to just weigh these objects with your hands, or you may know that you have a weighing scales in your home. If you have a weighing scales in your home, you can ask the adult at home with you to see whether or not you can test out the weight of your objects on that weighing scale. Okay, so this week we're focusing on weight. This is your task for today, and remember that for Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday there is a document with 3 different activities for you. You do 1 activity a day in whatever order you'd like, and then on Friday you come back to the video and you will have a little quiz to see how you've got on with learning about weight this week. I hope you enjoy and I hope you have a good week.